forget, there have been some questions that were left on the website. First, I want to say hello to Marilyn. Thank you for leaving the greeting, and I'm sorry that I forgot last week to say hello back. I've had every intention for 2 weeks now. Also, there was another question from Mr. Lee, who I believe is asking, basically, do you think there will ever be a point in time where we retranslate everything like the Gohonzon and what we chant into the local lingual reality for wherever people are practicing? And the answer is no, that'll never ever happen. That's why we chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo rather than the translation of Myoho Renge Kyo in Mandarin. Even if you translated it into a different language, what changes really? Its meaning is the same, so why would you start to abridge or make changes to the original teaching? You will always chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and you will always chant it to a Gohonzon that has the characters on it. Those aren't Japanese characters on it, by the way. There's a couple of them that are Pali, but everything else is a Chinese character. So it's already, that's the whole significance of the Gohonzon and Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, is it already represents 3 different languages: Sanskrit, Chinese, and Japanese. It's pronounced in Japanese. So that's the answer to Mr. Lee. And then there are your question about the kalpa of decrease. George and I are going to look into that and figure out how to give you a link or something. That's definitely in there. The kalpa of decrease is the last Gosho from this particular publication, and we did already do this on video. We did this a long time ago on volume 1, and so that's not on video. Eventually we'll get back and put it on video. And the next thing we're going to do, since a warning against begrudging one's Fief is tonight's Gosho. It's the last Gosho in this particular publication, the Hope-Filled Writings and Teachings of Nichiren Daishonin. So we'll be going on. The next thing that we'll be reading in terms of President Ikeda's lecture series will be volume 3 of the Teachings for Victory. And then we'll get back to that. And I'm thinking about slipping in next week potentially to read the Shoji Ichi Daiji Kechi Myaku Sho, to read the Heritage of the Ultimate Law of Life and Death. Pardon me, I got the wrong one. I meant to say the object of devotion for observing the mind, which is the Shoji Ichi Daiji Kechi. At any rate, I'm going to start by tonight reading the Gosho on page 823. A warning against begrudging one's Fief. Does anyone know what this Gosho is about? No one really knows what the Gosho is about. What this is again, Shijo Kingo was a believer, a samurai believer that the Daishonin had encouraged to embrace the Gohonzon. He actually had Gohonzon, but to embrace Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and to begin chanting and practicing as he did. And so subsequently, Shijo Kingo is an example for correct practice, in that so many letters were written to him directly from the Gohonzon about encouraging him in very difficult circumstances. And one of the difficulties for him as a samurai was that he was kind of in a political position, because samurai all had to be connected in some way to the authority for them to have the basis to be just warriors, right? There was a reward for being a warrior. You normally got lands or some sort of a circumstance like that. So you had to be a little bit political with the people in power, and subsequently, if you fell into disfavor with them, it could ultimately change everything for you. So he had a lot to lose by embracing the Daishonin's teaching instead of the ones that were prevalent in his day, and as a result, he stands out as an example for all of us on what the correct attitude of faith should be based on the encouragements that he received from Nichiren Daishonin. So, a warning against begrudging one's Fief is one of about, I think, 6 or 7 or even 8 Goshos that all have to do with this progression of this circumstance for Shijo Kingo. And he had actually had a false accusation made against him because he attended a debate in which Samibo, who was another one of the Daishonin's disciples, who was a priest, very learned and had the ability to speak well, also went Taiten and ended up dying. So, not everybody's golden forever. That's the whole point. he had gone there to remonstrate with Rosupo or somebody. We're going to see it here in a minute. Somebody that was affiliated with Ryokan. At any rate, Semibo, utilizing the teaching of the Daishonin, kicked the other priest's butt to the max, and that caused a big fervor. And so to get back at everyone that was involved with Nichiren, Shijo Kingo's opponents, other samurai, accused him of creating a problem at that particular debate. And so his Lord Emma, eventually sent him a letter saying, I want you to renounce your faith in this Nichiren stuff. Get away from it and let me know that you're clear of it by signing a commitment to me that you will do that. And without being told, now he didn't go to the Daishonin and say, what do I do? He wrote to the Daishonin and said, screw him, I'm not doing it. I will not forsake my faith no matter what. That's what got the hair on the arms up of Nichiren. It's like somebody else understands this the way I understand this. They're willing to essentially almost give up their life in that to violate a direct decree from your Lord is sort of like putting yourself in serious harm's way. And if the reason that you're doing that is to uphold the teaching and to maintain it, you've got correct faith. And so subsequently, the Daishonin is saying, don't think you're powerless now. If you're practicing this way, if you do the right things, it's impossible for you to be defeated. And so all of these encouragements are ultimately actualized in Shijo Kingo's life. The thing that I always let people know, because most people know about Shijo Kingo by name, but they don't know his history, is that after the Daishonin died, and Shijo Kingo had gone through everything he had done. Don't forget, he went to Sato Island and visited him on Sato Island. He went to Minobu on several occasions. He always sent offerings. He supported the Daishonin throughout the Daishonin's life, from the time they met. And ultimately, not only did Kyo, his sick daughter, get well, but he lived for 18 years, happily ever after the Daishonin passed away. So, 18 years of bliss later in life is almost the equivalent of many people's whole life. All right? So always understand that Shijo Kingo absolutely not only overcame these issues, but also had bestowed upon him great good fortune that he was able to experience and enjoy in his life. It wasn't obstacles and nothing but difficulty for the entire time that he practiced this Buddhism. Understand that won't be the way it is for any of you. You'll get to a point where you figured enough stuff out that some of the things that have opposed you will begin to no longer oppose you, but your wisdom will have it defeated before it even has a chance to express itself in your life. So you won't be encumbered with some of the challenges that you are now, because you will have already learned and possessed the wisdom that those challenges were actually the source of the great good fortune that allowed you to have that wisdom and reveal it in your life. Without those circumstances, you would not have grown. That's part of the logic and wisdom that Nietzsche is going to teach in this letter. So let's go and let's start on page 823 and read a warning against begrudging's one's fief. If I say fief occasionally, I mispronounce this all the time. Your letter, a warning against begrudging one's fief, Gosho number 99 on page 823. Your letter, dated the 25th of last month, arrived at the hour of the cock on the 27th of the same month. On reading the official letter ordering you to submit a written oath renouncing your faith in the Lotus Sutra, and pledge not to write such an oath, and your pledge not to write such an oath, I felt that was as rare and as fragrant as seeing the Udambara plant in bloom and smelling the budding red sandalwood. Shariputra, Magdayayana, and Mahakashayapa were great arhats who had acquired the 3 insights in the 6 transcendental powers. Moreover, they were bodhisattvas who, because of the Lotus Sutra, had attained the first stage of security, that is, the realization of the non-birth and non-extinction of all phenomena. And you all understand that, right? So, yet even they deemed themselves unable to endure the great persecutions that would intend the propagation of Lotus Sutra in the Sahe world in the latter day of the law, and declined to accept the task. How then is it possible for ordinary people in the latter age who have not yet eradicated the three categories of illusions to become votaries of this sutra? This is a very logical question. If even Mahakashyapa and those dudes couldn't do it, how could anyone be expected to do it that's not already a Buddha? Even though I myself have been able to withstand attacks with sticks of wood or tiles and stones, vilification and persecution by the authorities, how could people such as lay believers who have wives and children and are ignorant of Buddhism possibly do the same? Perhaps they would have done better never to have believed in the first place. If they are unable to carry through with their faith to the end and uphold it only for a short while, they will be mocked by others. So thinking, I felt pity for you. But during the repeated persecutions I suffered and throughout my 2 sentences of exile, you have demonstrated your resolve. Through that, though that has been wondrous enough, I have no words sufficient to praise you for having written a pledge to carry through with your faith in the Lotus Sutra in spite of your Lord's threats and at the cost of your 2 fiefs. Now, what did he just say there? He said, even from the very beginning, I understood what I was going to have to do and what I was going to have to bear up against in order to do what I knew I had to do. But all along I wondered, how could people that aren't priests, people that have, are in the secular life, they have wives or husbands or children and families, they're not like me. How could they become devoted enough to withstand the great persecutions? However, in the midst of all of this, and I actually felt bad for everybody that I would encourage because I knew what they would have to face in order to become the Buddhists that I'm trying to teach them to be. I know what I've had to go through. And I didn't see how anybody else could have the kind of faith that I have that would allow them to perceive this correctly and do the right thing. He says, but you, Shijo Kingo, have inspired me. I know at least one person got it and understands it and is doing what they're supposed to do without having to be told. And dude, you've blown me away. All right, that's what he's saying so far. Then he goes on to qualify. The Buddha wondered whether even bodhisattvas like Universal Worthy and Manjushri could undertake the propagation of the Lotus Sutra in the latter age. And he therefore entrusted the 5 characters of Myoho Rengekyo to the bodhisattvas of the earth, to superior practices and the other 3 leaders of the bodhisattvas who had sprung up from the earth as numerous as the dust particles of 1,000 worlds. Now pondering the meaning of this matter, I wonder if bodhisattva superior practice has taken possession of your body in order to assist me along the way. Or could it be that the design of Shakyamuni Buddha, the Lord of Teachings? So what did he just say there? He just said basically, maybe your bodhisattva superior practices. So he's not saying I'm superior practices. He's saying that this correct spirit of faith after the 500-year period when the correct teaching has been revealed, and he knows he's the one that's revealed it. His conviction is that he's the one that revealed it. But the point is that the people will give rise that have the ability to bear out those difficulties and will accomplish Kosen Rufu. So he's saying, the Buddha wondered whether even bodhisattvas like Universal Worthy and Manjushri could undertake the propagation of the Lotus Sutra in the latter age, and he therefore entrusted the 5 characters of Myoho Rengekyo to superior practices and the other 3 leaders of the bodhisattvas who had sprung up from the earth as numerous as the dust particles of 1,000 worlds. So why did the bodhisattvas of the earth appear? Why did they appear? Yeah, to propagate the law. But what allowed them to appear? Why wasn't Manjushri and all the other attendants at the time? Why did the bodhisattvas of the earth have to spring up?
Because it's a later age.
Yes, that's when they appear. But why is it that they appear?
That's their mission.
Yes, why is their mission, and why do they have the mission that they have?
Because nobody else can.
Nobody else can hang. Nobody else can handle it. They're the ones that have the faith of the original teacher because they're the original disciples.
Yes.
They can become his emissaries in reality. They can live life as he did. They can be Buddhas the same way he was. Do you understand? They can accomplish kosen rufu where others cannot, because they cannot assimilate and reflect that same life condition. The life condition of the bodhisattva of the earth, if you're talking about what that really is the life condition of Nichiren Daishonin. There's no separation. That's the point. There's no separation between your life and his. Those that embrace the Gohonzon correctly possess the same state of life. He says, now pondering the meaning of this, I wonder if superior practices taken possession of your body in order to assist me along the way. Or could it be the design of Shakyamuni Buddha, the Lord of Teachings? He's trying to encourage him. He says, the fact, on the top of page 824, first column, the fact that those retainers who resent you are growing more presumptuous and is definitely the result of their scheming, is definitely the result of the scheming of the priests Ryokan and Ryuzo, whose Semibo beat. Should you write an oath discarding your faith, they would only become more arrogant, and then they would mention it to everyone they meet. Then my disciples in Kamakura would be hounded until not a single one remained. So he's saying, actually, by you taking this position, Shijo Kingo, you've really helped me a lot, because if you hadn't been able to take this position, it would have ended up being a source of discouragement for many of my believers that don't have the same level of faith that you have. All right? Then he goes on to say that this is all very natural. He says, it is the nature of ordinary people not to know what awaits them in the future. That's why they have such a delusion and they give up their faith. He says, those who have a full understanding of this are called worthies or sages. Actually, those that are on the path to Buddhahood. Do you understand? Okay, he says, passing over examples from the past, I will cite one from the present. The Lord of Masashi gave up both of his domains and became a lay priest. I hear that ultimately he abandoned many estates, forsook his sons and daughters as well as his wife, and secluded himself from the world. Yet you have neither sons nor reliable brothers. You have only your two fiefs. This life is like a dream, he's encouraging him. One cannot be sure that one will live until tomorrow. Always understand nothing is assured. And then he encourages him. However wretched a beggar you may become, never disgrace the Lotus Sutra. Since it will be the same in any event, do not betray grief. Just as you have written in your letter, you must act and speak without the least servility. If you try to curry favor, the situation will only worsen. Even if your fiefs should be confiscated or you yourself are driven out, you must think that it is due to the workings of the 10 demon daughters and wholeheartedly entrust yourself to them. What did that all say? He said, this life is like a dream. Okay? So people living in the 9 worlds live in the dreamlike state of the 9 worlds. That's why he's saying this life is like a dream, because only a Buddha perceives this life as it actually exists. Mm-hmm. Do you understand that? Everyone else lives through their whole life in delusion. Mm-hmm. That would be called a dream. It's not real. It appears to be real. You think it's real, but it's not real. All right? He says, one cannot be sure that one will live until tomorrow. So we take nothing for granted. We can't achieve Kosen Rufu or our own Buddhahood someday in the future and relax until that time comes and it's convenient. That's why we must attack it now in this moment, because this moment is the only thing that exists. Tomorrow may not be there. Then he says, however wretched a beggar you might become, never disgrace the Lotus Sutra. So what's he say about that? What's that actually saying to him? Even if all the really bad shit goes down and you can't see a result or a change yet, don't start whining and crying and blaming the teaching for not being valid or not having the power to save you. The teaching doesn't save you. The teaching allows you to save yourself. If you haven't been saved yet, you haven't made the action necessary for that benefit to come from the environment. But it is guaranteed to come. That's what part of this writing is about. He's saying, since it will be the same in any event, Do not betray grief. In other words, so if the bad shit's going down, crying will not make it change. Being bummed out and having doubts will not make it change. Okay? It's going to be the way it is. It's going to be tough no matter what. So since you already know it's going to be tough, face it like the Buddha. Don't face it like somebody that's confused and weak. Face it with strength and conviction. Okay? He says, just as you have written in your letter, he says, just like you already know, because I can tell that's what you've said to me, you must act and speak without the least servility. So now what's that saying? You're not going to give it up to your Lord that he's all that in a bag of chips. You're going to have the pride and the character to know you're the bag of chips. Do you understand what I'm saying? In other words, there's no reason to speak to others as though they're greater or superior to you. If they disagree or don't understand what you understand, you have compassion for them, but you don't act servile to them. If they can take everything from you, you still do not behave toward them in a servile manner. No Buddha does, because no Buddha is ever threatened by things of the mundane world. Take it all. Who gives a shit? I can make it reappear like that. That's all just a matter of fortune. I can have it disappear and reappear in the course of a day. It's my faith that guides all of this, not the events that you think you control. Okay? He's saying, if you try to curry favor, the situation will only worsen. He says, so if you try and meet this by, saying, well, how can we work this out? Or maybe, no, you take this position of, I'm not going to do what you told me to do, Emma. I'm not going to give up my fiefs. Take them from me. I'm not going to volunteer them to you. I'm not going to voluntarily renounce my faith. He says, even if you try to curry favor, the situation will only worsen, because they'll see weakness and they'll pounce on that weakness. So if they see you act like you have this fortitude, and if you can draw it forth from your life, you'll see that it actually has great power. He says, even if your fiefs should be confiscated and you yourself driven out, even if the bottom falls out now, don't start thinking that your prayer is not going to be answered or that the worst has happened. He says, you must think it is due to the workings of the 10 demon daughters and wholeheartedly entrust yourself to them. In other words, you must have the faith that no matter what's happening to you, this is actually protection or actually the continuation of an obstacle that you will overcome. That's the way that Buddha views all things, in that manner. Okay? So he's saying, you must not look at like, what happened? Oh, my life is over. No. You go, this is now we're getting good. When this kind of shit happens to you, that means that you are the Buddha. Okay? You are advancing in a way that is intimidating the devilish functions that exist in this realm, right? So he's saying, and then he's saying, he qualifies, he now reflects on himself. He's saying, look at it this way. He said, had I not been exiled, the next paragraph, had I not been exiled but remained in Kamakura, so if these guys hadn't sent me to Sado, okay, and then I came back and asked them to give it up and they wouldn't, and so I split to Minobu, I would certainly have been killed in the battle that just took place. All right? In like manner, since remaining in your Lord's service will likely be to your detriment, this well may be the design of Shakyamuni Buddha. So don't make it an event-based faith. Okay? If I get what I want, then it worked. If I don't get what I immediately want, because I don't have the wisdom to understand what the best thing is, and I don't get it, then it's not working. You must always perceive the reality that if you've made sincere prayer for something that's not becoming evident, there is a reason for it. Okay? And what he's saying, the reason is, it's the 10 demon daughters protecting you. He says, this well may be the design of Shakyamuni Buddha. I have written a petition on your behalf, continuing in the first column on page 824. I have written a petition on your behalf, although there are several priests there in Kamakura, as they are too unreliable, I was thinking of sending again Senibo. However, since he is still not recovered from his illness, I am sending this other priest in his stead. And they never qualify who that is. Have either Daigaku Saburo, Taki no Taro, or Toki make a clean copy of it when he has time and present it to you, Lord. This petition I've read to you. All right? Those guys can all do calligraphy well. Have them rewrite what I've written. If you can do that, the matter will be resolved. He says, my opinion is that Emma will understand once you convey this to him. You need not be in a great hurry. Rather, make preparations quietly within your Lord's clan. As for the others, let them clamor against you far and wide. Then if you submit the petition, it may spread throughout Kamakura, the points that I've made that I want you to make to Emma, this whole position point, this position paper. It may spread throughout Kamakura and perhaps even reach the regent himself. This would be misfortune changing into fortune. In other words, it's a bad thing that Emma telling you to do this could end up that the petition I'm going to write will be read by many. I explained the teachings of the Lotus Sutra to you before. Matters of minor importance arise from good. That's good karma from good actions. But when it comes to a matter of great importance, great disaster without fail changes into great fortune based on the teaching of the Lotus Sutra. Why? Does it just naturally happen that way?
No.
No, that's what everybody else experiences. What happens to us when we meet great disaster? We have faith, we chant Daimoku, we overcome the problem, and that turns that misfortune into great good fortune because we've created fortune in the process of doing that. Not only have we changed the circumstance, we've advanced our karmic balance sheet. He says, when people read this petition, their errors will surely come to light. You have only to speak briefly, say rebukingly, I will neither leave my Lord's clan nor return my fief of my own accord. If my Lord should confiscate it, I will regard it as an offering to the Lotus Sutra and a blessing. So he's saying, tell him, just be that way about it. Don't be freaked out if he does it. Just say, great, good, shame on you. I'm not hurt. You will be. You must in no way behave in a servile fashion toward the magistrate. Okay? Now, so why is this important for us to read now? This should be your attitude and faith as well. You should be cool hand, Luke. You should never be afraid. When people are attacking you on the basis of faith, they automatically have already lost. And you should have the wisdom to understand that. So you don't have to be intimidated by them. You don't have to be rude or cocky or arrogant. That's never the way we should be. But we're never afraid. We're never expressing something that they can't say where is that coming from? How could you be so strong in the face of what you're facing right now? I can't scare you. You're not afraid of me? No, I'm not afraid of you. That should be what you try to express with your life. He says, you must in no way behave in a servile fashion toward the magistrate. Tell him, those fiefs were not bestowed upon me by my Lord, even though Emma's the one that gave him. He's saying, they were awarded to me because I saved his life with the medicine of the Lotus Sutra when he was seriously ill. If he takes them from me, his illness will surely return. At that time, even if he should apologize to me, I will not accept it. Nietzsche spoke this way all the time. Having said so, take your leave in an abrupt manner. In other words, freak them out a little bit. You're the Buddha. Watch what happens. Avoid all gatherings because they could be dangerous places. Maintain a strict guard at night. Be on good terms with the night watchman and make use of them. You should always be in company with them. If you are not ousted this time, the chances are 9 to 1 your fellow samurai will make an attempt on your life. No matter what, be sure not to die a shameful death. Nichiren, the 7th month of the 3rd year of Kinji, cyclical sign Hita. And I forgot to read the background, so let me go ahead. I normally do that first, but let me read the background now. He says from page 825. This letter was written at Minobu when the Daishonin was 56 years old and sent to Shijo Kingo in Kamakura. Kingo served the Emma family, a branch of the ruling Hojo clan, and was well versed in both medicine and the martial arts. In the 6th month of 1277, Shijo Kingo attended a religious fete at Kuwagayatsu in Kamakura, at which Samibo, a disciple of the Daishonin, defeated Ryuzobo, the guy I mentioned, a protege of Rokan. Other retainers of Lord Emma, jealous of Kingo, reported falsely to the Lord that Kingo had forcibly disrupted the debate. As a result, Lord Emma threatened to confiscate Kingo's fief. When Kingo received an official letter from Lord Emma after the Kuwagagayatsu debate, ordering him to write an oath forsaking his faith in the Lotus Sutra, he sent the letter to the Daishonin at Minobu along with a letter of his own in which he pledged never to write such an oath. Nichiren Daishonin wrote the present letter in reply to encourage Kingo and also sent him a petition addressed to Lord Emma in which he defended Kingo and praised the faithful service that he had rendered his Lord. This petition is entitled The Letter of Petition from Yorimoto. Yorimoto was part of Shijo Kingo's full name. Not long after that, Lord Emma fell ill. Eventually, he had no choice but to ask Kingo for help. He recovered under Kingo's treatment and thereafter placed renewed trust in him. Later, Shijo Kingo received from him an estate 3 times larger than the one he already held. In this letter, by the way, he never gave up what he had in the first place. In this letter, the Daishonin states, however wretched a beggar you might become, never disgrace the Lotus Sutra, and defines a basic attitude in faith. Defines a basic attitude in faith. So you should embrace this no matter what social position one occupies or adversity one faces. So no matter how high or low you are, it is vital to continue in faith, never compromising one's integrity as a votary of the Lotus Sutra. Don't forget, if you're a practitioner, you represent this teaching in its whole, in its entirety. You're not some small person. All right? He says, and that's that. So I'll go on to the lecture now. This is the last one from the hope-filled writings of the hope-filled teachings of Nichiren Daishonin. The lecture will start on page 265. And we won't reread what we've already just read, so missing the part of the Gosho that we already read. The lecture itself will actually start on page 267. So great, as they all are. It's wonderful. Asks a bunch of great questions. Before I start reading them, let me go through and read the appropriate grade boxes. Okay. On page 271, the eternity of life. Just let's get some of these basics down. I think there's only 2 of them. And then the 10 demon daughters. Actually 3. All right, so the first one is on page 271, the eternity of life. Nichiren Daishonin writes, life is neither existence nor non-existence, yet exhibits the qualities of both. It is the mystic entity of the middle way that is the ultimate reality. So what does he say? What's that say there? Life is eternal and ever present. It doesn't appear and disappear. It never disappears. It changes form. Life is neither existence nor non-existence. It's neither one of those. Okay, so it's not what it appears to be right now, because this is a temporary manifestation of something that's continuous and eternal. Okay, and at the same time, since it's continuous and eternal, we can never perceive it in its actuality. We never experience for what it truly is. Do you understand? That comes from wisdom. We don't experience it as such, right? We experience it as temporary existence. Do you understand?
Right.
So he said, but since it's not temporary existence, it doesn't have the qualities of either one. 100%. It's neither temporary existence nor non-substantiality. That's what's the middle. That's the whole idea of the middle way, right? That's right. Okay, so it is the mystic entity. The mystic entity. So what does that mean? The unfathomable, unscrutable entity, okay, of the middle way that is the ultimate reality. So it's life itself. Do you understand? On attaining Buddhahood in this lifetime. That's the Gosho that quote is from. Buddhism rejects the concepts of annihilation, life extinguished upon death, and permanence, an unchanging immortal soul. It teaches instead that while individual lifetimes begin and end, life itself is inexhaustible, inextinguishable. We are born and we die, but death is not the end of life itself. The cycle of birth and death repeats without end, and a person's life is at once both unique and inseparable from the universe. Do you understand? Both unique. There isn't another temporary gathering of karmic influence. You're the only one that is you. So we don't become each other. Do you understand? Even though we're inseparable, right? The correct view of life's importance is inclusive in the fleeting present moment and incalculable eternity. Though temporary, the present lifetime is unique and irreplaceable. To devalue the present moment because it is transitory robs us of volition. To cling unreasonably to temporary phenomena can lead us to lose perspective of the grand and unending nature of existence. Does everybody understand what that just said? Let me go. The correct view of life's importance is inclusive of the fleeting present moment and incalculable eternity. Okay, so eternity is going on forever, right? But this moment is this moment, all right? Though temporary, because if we're looking at it that way, that says, I got all kinds of lifetimes. I can do this whenever I want to. It's never going to stop anyhow, right? He says, though temporary, though, the present lifetime is unique. You don't have 1,000. You don't have as many lifetimes that exist in front of you. You could create a slander that's going to affect a lot of lifetimes before you get back to where you are at this moment. Do you understand that? So it's not like you have all the time in the world. Though temporary, the present lifetime is unique and irreplaceable. Why is that? If you're reading this, why is that very important, what I just said?
Because only this moment counts.
That's true, but that would be the case for everyone. What's unique about this moment? That we know because we're in it, and it's here, and we can see it, and we can feel it, and we're involved in it.
It cannot be replaced.
Yeah, cannot be replaced. Why can't it? Why is it so valuable that it's unique and irreplaceable? Because
We have a mission.
yes, we're in the process of revealing our true identities. Okay, it's irreplaceable because we cannot assume that if we don't attain Buddhahood in this lifetime, we're going to get another chance, because that might involve a slander circumstance that will preclude that from happening in the next lifetime. Will it happen in a future lifetime? Yeah, but who wants to wait 1 million, billion, zillion years? Right? Mm-hmm. So this fact that we can attain Buddhahood in our present form, and that will be prevalent in every lifetime, we know we can do it now. Mm-hmm. If we don't do it now, we lose that ability to know we can do it now. Yeah. All right? So that's something that opportunity is irreplaceable. It's not something you throw into the little ball thing and I get another chance whenever I want, right? You don't leave that to chance. That's what he's saying. So he's saying that since you already know you have many lifetimes, if you think, I got time, or this isn't so bad or so important because it'll just change and I'll just do it again. He's saying to devalue the present moment because it is transitory robs us of volition. Now what's volition? Volition is that thing that makes us determined to do things that we don't want to do, or to give up, not give up when we want to give up. That's volition. It's the will to act as we decide we want to act, even if it's going to kill us. Volition is we can do whatever we decide to do if we do it. Okay? Volition is having done something. The potentiality was already there. But volition is what you actually created through action, right? So he's saying, if we don't make those causes, then it can rob us of volition. It'll rob us of the action that's necessary. Do you understand? Do you understand? Mm-hmm. All right, so he's saying, to cling unreasonably to temporary phenomena can lead us to lose perspective of the grand and unending nature of existence. So if we only focus on this lifetime without seeing everything that we see in this lifetime as part of something that goes on and is eternal and is not ever going to be gone. It's not missing. You already view your life as part of your next life. Your next lifetime is already part of this life. I don't know about you guys, but I already have lots of things that I've already got on the agenda for next lifetime. I couldn't have changed this lifetime because I grew up to be me as I am now. But am I just going to take whatever I can get next lifetime? No, I've already got grand designs on my next lifetime. I'm already praying about my next lifetime. I'm already making vows about my next lifetime. Okay? I encourage you to view life the same way. I know that that's the way Nichiren viewed his life. And I know that's the way his teaching teaches you to view your life. And I know that's how Daisaku Ikeda encourages people to view their life. So that's how I view my life. I encourage you to do the same. That's what the teaching is. Nichiren writes, however many times I were to repeat the cycle of birth and death, no life could be as fortunate as this. Why? Again, this life is the life I'm embracing the Gohonzon in. If I carry this through the last moment of life, I will never have another life that is absent that. I may have already had many lifetimes that is present in, but if I do what I'm supposed to do, it can never be. I know I'll have it in the future always. He says, while life is unending, our present lifetime offers a unique opportunity because this moment only is this moment once. Understand that. There will be plenty of other more new this moments, but they will not be the same as the this moment that I'm referring to in this moment. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, so he says, while life is unending, our present lifetimes offer a unique opportunity to change our karma now and create a positive orientation for future lives. We know what we're doing. We can do the right thing. We guarantee it because we can right now. Got it? All right, so then page 275, 10 demon daughters. The 10 demon daughters appear in the Dharani chapter of the, I think that's Dharani chapter, I'm not sure. Dharani chapter of the Lotus Sutra. Along with the mother of demon children, they vow to the Buddha to shield and guard the sutra's votaries, saying, if there are those who fail to heed our spells and trouble and disrupt the teachers of the law, their heads will split into 7 pieces. That's from the Gosho, the sutra, and its opening and closing sutras. These 10 demon daughters represent forces that protect those who propagate the mystic law. The ultimate source of these forces is within us, not outside of us. They are a function of our Buddha nature. Buddhism teaches the oneness of our lives in the surrounding environment. Therefore, the inner life-affirming our inner life-affirming conviction will manifest itself in our surroundings. So did you understand what that just said? That said some really cool, deep stuff. Let me go over it again. Okay, so you know where this, first of all, does everybody know where you can literally read? Where does it say what those talks about this? Those who vex and trouble the practitioners of the law have their heads split in 7 pieces. Where is that written? On the Gohonzon. Okay, so you don't have to worry about asking for that to happen to somebody. The Gohonzon is written to let you know those who oppose and slander you are opposing my teaching in the Lotus Sutra. They will receive karmic retribution. You don't have to worry about it. So don't bury yourself in bad thoughts, karma, whatever. Have mercy and compassion on them because they're already screwed and you know they are. Don't even worry about what's going to happen to them. Trust that it will. Okay? May those who vex or trouble the practitioners of the law have their heads split in 7 pieces. It's the first damn thing I knew what the Gohonzon said. When I read that, I went, I like that one. Okay? All right? So I looked at it many times. I've looked at the Gohonzon while I'm chanting and just go, okay, don't forget. All right? And it says here, this is from the Buddhist dictionaries. It says, this is about the inscriptions on the Gohonzon. It says in the last paragraph of that on page 256, there are 2 inscriptions gleaned from Myelo's annotations on the word and phrases of the Lotus Sutra, which Nichiren used to describe the power of the Gohonzon and the law it embodies. One, placed in the upper right, facing the Gohonzon, reads, who vex or trouble the practitioners of the law will have their heads split into 7 pieces. The other in the upper left, those who give alms to them will enjoy good fortune surpassing the 10 honorable titles. The 10 honorable titles are epithets applied to the Buddha, expressing his virtue, wisdom, and compassion. And then never before in more than 2,230 years since the Buddha's passing has this great teaching been there. There are 3 of them. And so then, one more. SGI president on mentor and disciple relationship, because that's what Shijo Kingo and Nichiren are expressing in this communication. All right, it's not about Daisaku Ikeda and you; it's about you and the Gohonzon. All right, always understand that the original mentor-disciple relationship that exists in your life precedes anything that has to do with the SGI. The SGI is a manifestation of that reality. Okay, it didn't create it. All right, that's the point. Nichiren SGI President Ikeda on mentor and disciple relationship. It is through the bond of page 279. It is through the bond of mentor and disciple that the law is transmitted. Buddhism is the law of life, and the law of life cannot be transmitted through words or concepts alone. It cannot be transmitted through words or concepts alone. It's got to be actualized in the life, action, and reality of the practitioner. Nichiren reveals the spirit of the mentor-disciple relationship in Buddhism. He writes, Nichiren has been trying to awaken all the people of Japan to faith in the Lotus Sutra that they too can share the heritage and attain Buddhahood, so that they also can have exactly what I have. This passage can be read as expressing the fundamental spirit of the Buddha of the latter day, which pervades Nichiren's life of momentous struggle for Kosen Rufu. This desire to enable all people to equally share in the heritage of attaining Buddhahood is itself the spirit of the Lotus Sutra, and also the great wish or vow of the Buddha described in the sutra. Accordingly, the great vow of the Buddha and the wish of the mentor for the enlightenment of all people and the happiness of self and others are none other than the great vow or wish for Kosen Rufu itself, the wish of the eternal Buddha, the wish of all Buddhas. So, then going back and starting the lecture on page 267, and I'll get into a little bit of it as much as I can here, and then we'll read the rest of it next week. What defines a truly great person? Page 267. What defines a truly great person? Josei Toda, the second Soka Gakkai president, once remarked, truly great are those who live with a youthful vitality throughout their lives. Okay? Surely, there are none that are more admirable as human beings than those who can maintain their original youthful spirit and hopes throughout their entire lives. I engraved these words in my life. I think it is just as it says, as he says. Embodying Mr. Toda's words, countless Soka Gakkai members, noble champions of this people, especially our pioneer members, have won in life through maintaining unwavering faith. I praise and applaud them with all my heart. It is only by maintaining our convictions throughout our lives, by not abandoning our beliefs, that we can prove them to be genuine. Indeed, herein lies the essence of faith. Because if you stop, if you quit before you die, it's kind of also saying everything I said was not real. Those who continue to uphold their beliefs through adversity are truly admirable. They are people of the highest caliber. They are honorable people of faith who would surely be praised by Nichiren Daishonin, the Buddha of the latter day of the law. Why? Because they're his original disciples. That's why they can be those kinds of people. Wholeheartedly, the gray box in the second column, page 267, wholehearted encouragement to face the greatest adversity. Highlights, written the 7th month of 1277, recipient Shijo Kingo. After hearing a false allegation that Kingo had led an armed group that disrupted a debate between Nichiren's disciple Semibo and Ryokan's protege Ryuzobo, Kingo's Lord Emma ordered him to renounce his faith in the Lotus Sutra. Emma threatened Kingo that if he did not discard the Lotus Sutra, he would confiscate his lands and expel him from the clan. However, Kingo refused to abandon his faith. In this letter, reflecting the shared commitment of mentor and disciple, Nichiren praises Kingo for resolutely pledging never to discard the Lotus Sutra, just as he would have. Okay? Shijo Kingo, continuing. Shijo Kingo was also a person of conviction and integrity who maintained his faith at a critical crossroads in life. His greatest adversity came in June 1277 when his Lord Emma ordered him to write an oath renouncing his faith in the Lotus Sutra. Top of page 268, first column. This demand stemmed from a religious debate at Kuwagayatsu in Kamakura earlier that same month on June 9th. On that occasion, one of Nichiren Daishonin's disciples, the priest Samibo, thoroughly defeated an influential priest known as Ryuzobo, whose fallacious teachings were misleading people. It was a debate to refute the erroneous and reveal the true in the realm of Buddhism. It was a debate to refute the erroneous and reveal the true in the realm of Buddhism. Kingo was present on that occasion, but simply as a silent observer. However, the false allegation that a group armed with swords led by Kingo had burst in and disrupted the proceedings later reached Lord Emma. Hearing this, Emma issued an order threatening Kingo with the confiscation of his lands and expulsion from the clan if he did not submit a written oath discarding his faith in the Lotus Sutra. Having one's lands confiscated was not only a disgrace for a member of the samurai class, but also meant the loss of one's very livelihood. Nevertheless, Kingo unhesitatingly chose to stay true to his faith. He immediately reported these developments to Nichiren, who, with keen insight into the true nature of the situation, immediately composed a lengthy explanation of his follower's name that could be submitted, to Emma. Its aim was to dispel the Lord's suspicion, saying of the accusations, "What you heard must have been the fabrication of those who harbored jealousy against me." And that's from the petition from Yorimoto. And by the way, unfortunately, Emma never got this letter, or seemingly never did. He converted because of overcoming his illness. He got sick right after this, and when Shijo Kingo healed him, he was all that in a bag of chips again. He never needed to see the letter of petition from Yorimoto. Okay? So he says, this letter of petition from Yorimoto also sets forth the correctness of Nichiren Buddhism. And by the way, it's like 2 goshos in advance of this one, if you want to read it. It's very good. He says, the letter of petition from Yorimoto also sets forth the correctness of Nichiren Buddhism in view of Shijo Kingo's stance and behavior. The writing we are studying this time was sent to Kingo along with this petition, the petition from Yorimoto. In a warning to begrudging one's fief, Nichiren praises his loyal follower for resolutely pledging never to submit such an oath or discard the Lotus Sutra. However sublime and noble is a life, how sublime and noble is a life dedicated to struggling together with one's teacher in faith for the sake of Kozen Rufu. The same mighty conviction Nichiren possessed undoubtedly pulsed vibrantly in Kingo's heart. Through studying this writing, let us deepen our understanding of faith based on the shared commitment of mentor and disciple. This is so important. Let me reread that again. Understand what a deep paragraph that is. How sublime. What does that mean? How very wonderfully cool it is. Okay? How irreplaceably divine it is. And noble it is to have a life that's dedicated to struggling together with one's teacher in faith, whoever that may be, for the sake of Kozen Rufu, for the sake of others, for the sake of widespread propagation, not for the sake of your personal benefit. Personal benefit isn't why Shijo Kingo did what he did. He knew that he's a leader. He's a leader of the crew. He's like one of the Daishonin's main guys. Without him, a lot of the people would be affected. He knew he couldn't go against the Daishonin's guidance because it wasn't him that was the only one that had ever heard that kind of thing. All right? He said the same mighty conviction Nichiren possessed undoubtedly pulsed vibrantly in Kingo's heart. What is that saying? What principle does that reveal in truth and reality? The inseparability of mentor and disciple, the oneness of mentor and disciple, the exact sameness of mentor and disciple, not mentor, disciple. Undoubtedly, Paul, he says, same mighty conviction. That's what he expressed. He didn't say, what should I do, Master? He said, Master, he sent me this. Look what he wrote to me. I'm going to say this. I pledge to you I would never do what he's asked me to do. Same. Understand. Same. Not childlike. Same. Through studying this writing, let us deepen our understanding of faith based on the shared commitment. That's what was just described. Okay? Of mentor and disciple. That's why that was an important paragraph. Very deep. All right? Starting. And I have down here. Okay, yeah. The noble challenge of upholding faith in the Lotus Sutra in the evil age of the latter day. Gray box, first column, page 269. I know. Let me get through to the next gray box at least. The noble challenge of upholding faith in the Lotus Sutra in the evil age of the latter day highlights Nichiren unstintingly commends Kingo for his staunch faith. Unstintingly means he doesn't hold back. Because it is extremely rare for an ordinary person in the evil age of the latter day to undertake the difficult challenge of maintaining faith in the Lotus Sutra and standing up for Kosen Rufu. Okay? What did that really just say?
It's never easy.
Oh, yeah? But what did it really just say? Nichiren unstintingly commends Kingo for his staunch faith, because it is extremely rare for an ordinary person in the evil age of the latter day to undertake the difficult challenge of maintaining faith in the Lotus Sutra and standing up for Kosen Rufu. What did I just say? Because it is extremely rare for an ordinary person in the evil age of the latter day to become a Buddha in their present form.
To take the vow.
To live the vow, to be the Buddha. Okay? Standing up for Kosen Rufu, maintaining faith in the Lotus Sutra in the face of adversity. Everybody else just bails. Okay, that's why this is so important, this example. He says, remaining, this is the first of 3 stars in a row. Remaining steadfast in faith means battling the ignorance in the depths of our lives. What does that mean? What did that just say? Remaining steadfast in faith means overcoming fundamental darkness. That's what that says. Okay? This is because it seems like it's a situation, but it's not. It's always just a reflection of a momentary circumstance that's part of our karma for us to overcome. It's not what it appears to be ever. Right? Only when you perceive it as a Buddha do you see it as it really is, other than the delusion of the common mortal. You understand? Right. So he says, this is an extremely arduous path because those who pursue it are certain to be assailed by the three obstacles and 4 devils along with the 3 powerful enemies. You're going to get hit with the 3 powerful enemies and Sancho Shima. So it's extremely difficult and would be therefore very unusual for somebody to have what it takes to meet all of that challenge, right? He says, but we can only truly attain Buddhahood by defeating these obstacles and steadfastly working on our inner transformation. What's that say? What makes this all occur? In reality, what allows us to be able to do what it just said is almost impossible to do? We have transformed internally. We've gone from common mortalville to Buddhaville. Do you understand? Do you understand? We've activated the 10th world in our life. We have manifested. It's no longer theoretical. All right? We can only truly attain Buddhahood by defeating these obstacles and steadfastly working on our We've got to overcome the devil of the 6-7. What are the obstacles? That's the devil of the 6-7, right? That's going to try and keep us from advancing, right? You'll either win or lose in that battle, right? So you got to win, right? So that's defeating these obstacles. That's what he just said. If you don't defeat them, they win, you lose, right? And then steadfastly working. Steadfastly, what's that mean? Never stopping in the process of the manifestation of our Buddha nature. All right? And then I wrote down here, why is it like this that he just said all this stuff? Because this is the only path to Buddhahood. The only path to Buddhahood is overcoming devilish functions, the devil of the sixth heaven, creating the inner transformation that allows you to become actual Ichen and Sanzen person, right? All right, so there you got it. So he says, in the struggle, top of page 269, let me just read this through. In the struggle to defend the correct teaching, Nichiren Daishonin always responded with lightning speed. As soon as he saw any of his disciples facing adversity, he promptly took action to offer wholehearted encouragement to dispel the darkness of ignorance, fundamental darkness, from their hearts, the devil of the sixth heaven, and infuse their lives with the fresh breeze of faith. Encourage them to do what they needed to do because if they did, they would win. Further, he battled each onslaught of negative functions and raised high the banner of the correct teaching for all to see. Inspired by his swift and impassioned words of encouragement, one disciple after another stood up, and Kosen Rufu began to move forward momentously. In the first part of this writing, Nichiren praises Shijo Kingo, who had resolved to persevere in faith. He especially lauds the assistance that his disciple has given him, going so far as to say that it must have been due to Bodhisattva's superior practices taking possession of Shijo Kingo, or to the design of Shakyamuni Buddha, the Lord of Teachings. He unstintingly commends Kingo for his staunch faith because it is extremely rare for an ordinary person in the evil age of the latter day to undertake the difficult challenge of maintaining faith in the Lotus Sutra and standing up for Kosen Rufu. So Daisaku Ikeda just said that about Shijo Kingo. He will also say that all about you. Okay? So this is a reality that's acknowledged by everybody that understands the deal, that what we're asking, what you're being asked to do, is very difficult to do. He says this challenge is so difficult because remaining steadfast in faith means battling the ignorance or darkness in the depths of our lives. Fundamental darkness, the devil of the sixth heaven. In other words, it means making continuous efforts to transform our lives on a fundamental level. We're aspiring to attain Buddhahood in our present form. Do you understand? Before we become that Buddha, we have had to go through the process of aspiring to be that Buddha. It doesn't happen in the absence of that aspiration. Do you understand? Okay. Do you? Okay. This is an extremely arduous path because those who pursue it are certain to be assailed by the three obstacles and four devils along with the three powerful enemies. However, we can only truly attain Buddhahood by defeating these obstacles and steadfastly working on inner transformation. Nichiren no doubt praised Kingo because the latter had struggled alongside him as a great pioneer on the path of attaining Buddhahood as an ordinary person in the latter day of the law. Because the latter had struggled alongside him, not underneath him or below him, alongside him as an equal, as a human being. One is the teacher, one is the disciple, but they're equal. Alongside him as a great pioneer on the path of attaining Buddhahood as an ordinary person, on being the Buddha. Okay? He's a samurai. He's the Buddha. Do you understand? Okay, we'll start thwarting the schemes of the devil of the sixth heaven through resolute faith on page 270. We'll continue and finish next week. Thank you.
Thank you.